Okay.
That's completely impossible for me right now.
Never got over it with them. So welcome everybody. So we're just barely getting started, but I didn't want to make you guys wait anymore. But welcome one and all. So as soon as we got everybody situated, then we will get things started as the Why We Geek podcast is discussing nostalgic anime this evening. So we're going to have a fun time full of laughter and nostalgia and maybe even some hentai.
It's all right. This is the first time the Shadow Blazer doesn't have to come crying to Drax saying, "You're doing one with Rising Sun and Art?"
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah,
I kid.
Rising Sun was just barely bringing this up. He's like, "Wow, we got to do a podcast with you."
Yeah. I was trying to be like, well, hey, Shadow, I get to talk to you tonight about hentai and anime and other things.
I'm sure he really wants to talk about hentai.
This is going to be like Geek News after hours, or at least this is what you guys would like.
Yeah.
I can't talk about hentai. I know nothing about it aside from the
Are
2
you
or 3
sure
hentai
about that?
Aside from the 2 or 3 hentai that we didn't know were hentai at Blockbuster.
I don't know anything about hentai. That doesn't stop me from talking about it.
Look, you reviewed hentai without actually watching the hentai.
Yes.
I mean, technically, with I'm not going to spoil this for the audience, but there's going to be one where there's going to be a character pick where people are going to message me going, "How on earth can you not call this hentai in some way or form?" I'm not going to tell you who. What was that?
Is it Dream Hunter Rem?
No. Not going to tell you who, but as soon as you see him come up, you're going to know. Because, well, his anime is technically considered borderline hentai. So
Kiko.
there you go.
So that's how you know it's a good show.
Yeah, there you go. So that ought to encourage people to watch further into my 12 days videos. And the other reason that you guys should watch further into my 12 days videos is because the artist Marta has been working her butt off to be able to help me get that Santa Drac and other assets going. So then you guys can show your thanks to her as well, because she's been working her butt off. And I like the Santa Drac. I don't know about you guys, but I like the Santa Drac.
That's nice.
It works.
Yeah,
Originally, I was just sending her thing going, just put a Santa hat on my head, and then she's like, can I go nuts with this? Like, sure.
Whenever an artist says they're going to go nuts, it's a good sign.
Yeah, there's one thing I've learned from Marta that as soon as she says, like, can I take some liberties with this? I'm like, yeah, go nuts. Go nuts. Like, that's what I want you to do. You're the one drawing this. Take some liberties. I have no problem with that. I mean,
I trust artists like artistic ideas, and they can typically do more than I could ever think of.
Yeah, like bottom line is that anything that I tell her go nuts on, I'm going to get something good out of it. In fact, one of the other things that she's been working her butt off this year, you guys will see next year. I'm going to be really technically she's unveiled it. But I'm going to be really happy to showcase that to you guys, as it's going to be the new thumbnail for my Final Fantasy videos.
Okay.
So there you go. Basically just trying to put them all together as a whole, as some people get confused when I say it's the legacy of Final Fantasy. I'm like, yes, they're all kind of connected. They're all they're all separate Let's Plays that have the same theme, a passionate fan who wants to be able to show it to people. So she made that for me, and I really appreciate that.
Time to get your junction on.
At
least 8 has a good story, right? At least 8 has chicken wuss.
This is why Drac is
I'm
never
kidding.
going to do
The best part of Final Fantasy 8 is totally Angelo.
And the other thing I'll also point out, since you pointed out 8, because it's next, is if you guys watch the first episode of me and my wife playing Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, I debut what I'm going to be calling the Squall monologue voice. So for those,
you mean the Travers Town one?
Yes. I gave him the same voice, and so for those who are a little confused, the internal monologue that Squall goes, like most of the game, Squall has like this internal monologue where he's like literally overthinking things really hard in the game. And so at that point, if you want to hear what his internal monologue's voice is going to sound like, go watch Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I think it's episode 2. And it's the one that just barely came out this week. And you guys will be able to hear what that's going to sound like.
I recently started playing the whole series again from the beginning, and I'm on Chain of Memories right now.
P.S. It totally doesn't sound like this. It really doesn't, okay?
I feel like can I just like take a video game and redub all the voices with Drac voices?
Can I just make one complaint about Chain of Memories before we actually get into this?
Sure.
And that's
it doesn't have a Blue Eyes White Dragon. I completely agree.
You know how Sora's voice actor matured from 1 to 2 and his voice got deeper?
And they got a monstrous lumberjack beard? Yeah.
Considering Chain of Memories happens pretty much directly after 1, it's really jarring in Chain of Memories that he has his Kingdom Hearts 2 voice.
I find it hilarious. I honestly do, because like the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I hear it the first time is like, you think my voices are good, Rising Sun? I would like to point out that Alex here has the best Burger King employee voice, and that's immediately what I think of when I first hear that.
The best Burger King employee voice.
Would
you care to share with the class?
What he technically is doing is the Krusty Burger employee from Simpsons.
Oh!
You have to now, Alex. I've literally backed you into a corner.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. I'll have to speak with the manager.
And so, like,
secret sauce. Put this jar of mayonnaise in the sun.
We've literally found ways to be able to put that in Let's Plays because it just makes me laugh.
Yes, it does. Now I'm Burger King.
Boom.
You need a Let's Play of Burger
King,
Time.
famous whoppers, I wear a paper hat. Would you like an apple pie with that?
Oh,
Would you
yes,
like an
that's
apple
the
pie with that? Where is the bell? Wait for the bell. Can't hear the bell. Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. I got a one. Okay, I'm good then.
Pull out the side 95. You'll receive your burgers in 6 to 8 weeks.
It's terrible.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, Art, just let us know when you're ready to go, and we can get things started.
I will be walking into my room in about 2 minutes.
Very cool. In the meantime, so I'm also going to just bring this up to the chat. First of all, welcome you guys. What I try to do when I highlight YouTubers for this podcast is I get you guys involved too. So when I'm asking the questions that are going to be asked of the panel, you guys are more than welcome to respond yourself. And if I get enough of them that I will try and highlight them as best as I can. We have a lot in the chat as compared to usual. So at that point, we might have some problems, but I will get to as many as I possibly can.
Yeah, I have the chat up too, so see if there's anything interesting there.
And Art's camera is making me think of the Free Fallin' music video. I'm free falling. Now I'm free falling.
Probably mute Discord so it doesn't keep buzzing on me.
Yeah, that might help. I have to do that because like my guild will come for some reason whenever I'm recording a podcast, my Alliance guild, that is when they decide, oh, we're going to have a conversation about Arby's roast beef sandwiches, and then therefore pelt the entire thing. So like I could literally, because I have to have Discord up for Geek News. So immediately when I start talking about a story, it's like, and it's all about like this craptastic Arby's roast beef sandwich they found that day. And like everybody's going, ew, gross. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, that's wretched. It's like, okay, mute this channel, and then they'll go to another channel.
Just yeah.
I finally put a message in that guild just going, okay, I love you all, but I'm muting every channel here. And it's not because I hate you, but because you guys are wrecking my concentration.
Sometimes when I record videos, like there'll be a conversation in Discord, so I'll just comment on the conversation as per my video.
Yes.
That's happened on more than one occasion.
All right. So I think everybody is good to go. Oh, no. Did we lose the camera? No! think Art's giving me trouble. There we go.
I can't see the actually minimize people because of where I have my microphone. So
there's two of me.
There's two of you, but now your evil twin has been ejected from the stream.
But what if we want the evil twin?
We can't allow him to twist his evil mustache because that's my shtick.
All right, I need to grow a mustache so I can twist it during the next podcast.
There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started, shall we?
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to another awesome episode of the We Geek Podcast, the podcast where we take a piece of geek culture and be able to dissect it, be able to analyze it, be able to show why we love it. Sometimes we have to show a little bit of tough love, but sometimes that's necessary. Tonight, though, we don't have to do that. As first of all, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, happy December to all, as we are going to be discussing not Christmas. I know that there are people out there that want me to do that, but the problem is that if I do that, I've got one episode and that's going to be it. Instead, I would actually like to try and start a tradition on the podcast, which is basically December is a time where we're very nostalgic. It's a month of nostalgia where we look back on the last 11 months, 12 months, and be able to see, the good, the bad, what we've been able to accomplish, what we haven't over the year. And that's what I'm looking to aim at here, is that fandom can also work that exact same way. Nostalgia can be anything from picking up an anime that you haven't watched in a couple of years for the first time and be able to enjoy it the way that you did when you first saw it. It can easily be something that helped shape you in an event in your life, whether it be good or bad. It's something that you can look back on, and whether it be good, bad, indifferent, you're still nostalgic about it, and you can enjoy the time that you had with it. And tonight, because we have been focusing on it so much, in conjunction with the 12 Days of Anime, we are going to be talking nostalgic anime. And in conjunction with that, I'm here to introduce my panel of fellow geeks, fellow YouTubers, fellow content creators, fellow contributors to the 12 Days of Anime, as they all have individual videos that are going up on that. Let's go and introduce, starting things off with the Shadow Blazer himself. Alex, how you doing tonight? You're finally being able to join this panel after this panel has begged and pleaded and prodded and made deals with the devil, so much so that they have sacrificed leper gnomes to be able to get it. Alex, how you doing?
Great to be here.
I did not know I was working Alex on a podcast.
I don't know. I feel like they sacrificed a whole raid tier for this.
That would explain a lot of the issues with 8.1. Anyway, moving on to our next one. I'm also happy to introduce The Art of Anime, returning for his third episode of the podcast. Actually, no, technically this would be your fourth.
Well, did the BlizzCon count as one?
BlizzCon would technically be a geek news kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but I'll still count it. Art, how you doing tonight?
Tired.
I would guess. It's also that wonderful time of the year where we all work ourselves to the brink of exhaustion just so we can get that gift card for that one guy who said one nice thing about us at the gas station.
Yeah, I still need to finish Christmas shopping.
Don't look at me like that, people. You've done that at least once.
I mean, Rising Sun's pretty festive over there.
Yes, my Christmas tree set up perfectly in camera, even though I had to move it like 5 minutes ago.
And then third, we also have, from the actual 12 Days introduction, might I add, Rising Sun Reviews returning also for his third or fourth episode this year. Rising Sun, how you doing?
Slightly crazy. I've been doing 12 days. I'm just about to post my video for today, which will probably go live as soon as this is finished.
I guess I should probably point this out. Has everybody put up their video for today?
Yes, I have.
I don't have the time to do it again this year, even though I said I was going to do it this year.
Oh.
So I'm going to come out.
Filthy casual. No, I'm kidding.
I'm going to come out with a video at the end of it.
All right.
Well, I literally just posted mine, so yes.
Like I said to Rising Sun, and I'll even point it out here, I've actually been in discussions with 12 Days since literally January this year, as I've been talking to BB's World on it, just kind of figuring out how the rules work. And I negotiated it to 1. and it was this. Like, I was going to do this and nothing else. I had a kid on the way. There's no way I could make anything else work. And then like 4 or 5 months later, I'm like, 2. I'm going to do 2, maybe 3. And then finally, when we get to like 2 weeks before the 12 days are going to start, he's like, fine, you've talked me into it. I'm doing 12.
And
except I'm not doing 12 because I'm technically doing more than that.
I think Drac might be broken a little bit more than normal tonight.
Just a tad.
Like it.
Just a tad. It's been a very complicated week, but it's all right because we're going to talk some nostalgic anime tonight. And let's go ahead and start things off with a familiar version of the usual first question that we do for the We Geek podcast, which is the question that I usually start things off with is the first time you were ever exposed to a particular franchise or a medium, and then eventually what hooked you on it. This time, instead, I'm actually just going to half that question and just your first exposure to anime and be able to tell the story of when that actually happened. And I'll go ahead and go first just to kind of give people that, like my perspective on the matter. Now, technically, Alex would argue that my first exposure is what I should count. But I don't count it, and the main reason being is that, to me, anime has a specific style. To bring people up to speed, I am a big fan of the Transformers franchise. And technically, Alex makes the argument that since Toei made it, it's anime. And at that point, I literally will argue with him on Dragon Shadow and say, no, it's not anime. It doesn't fit that style. Leave me alone. You're not my real dad.
I'm gonna have to agree with Alex here.
Okay, all right. Well,
Alex is Drac, so he's not being picked on.
My first exposure that I like to think on fondly is my first ever time waking up on Sunday morning, because it played on Sunday morning. I don't know why. Waking up at like 6 a.m. with my older brother and my older sister to watch Voltron, Defender of the Universe, and hearing that music for the first time, and every time after that, da 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 da. I can't ever get it out of my head. It's so amazing. The only thing that has ever been able to surpass it was the legendary Defender opening music. I can't get that out of my head either, probably because of nostalgic passion. But that was my first ever exposure to anime, and pretty much is what launched me into the medium. At least as far as Saturday morning cartoons. So I think that's a worthwhile answering that question. Alex, your first exposure to anime?
The very first exposure I suppose I ever had was when I was really, really young, and I had no idea that this was an anime till quite a few years, many years later, in fact. It was the movie Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I had no idea, of course. It took me many years to find that out, that was ever an anime. But
Yeah, I was one of those jerks that actually said that the animated movie ripped off the game. And I didn't realize that they were in conjunction with each other. I was
There
a
was a
dumb kid.
game? I can't remember
There
how
was
that
a
went.
game.
even then, I think it's based on a comic strip, isn't it?
It's based on a comic strip, and the
Okay.
game was actually made by Capcom, specifically the team that did all of the Disney games
Huh.
for Capcom at the time. So the same team that made Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers made Little Nemo.
Okay, yeah, I watched Little Nemo like about a year and a half ago, and I really liked it. So
I still
Yeah.
to this day have not seen the Little Nemo animated movie all the way through. I've seen like 75% of it. I always miss that opening, like the very beginning of the, and I always come in at like when things are supposed to start elevating up to the climax. I never hit the very beginning of the movie. So
So after the movie came, this is where I think the immersion really started beginning, and that was with with Pokemon, when that really started taking off here in the West and taking off here in the States. I came in and kind of like, I don't want to say the middle, but I recall the first episode I ever saw of Pokemon was Battle Aboard the St. Anne. So
Mhm.
that was my first exposure to the series.
Then get
All
that
right.
old Magikarp.
Magikarp. All right, Rising Sun, your first exposure to the animus.
I'm actually not entirely sure what my first one is, but I think it was Pokemon. Just seeing it on, I ended up really wanting the games when I was younger. I had like the Pokemon Blue and Yellow in my bedroom closet. So yeah,
All
so
right.
I got into that, and then from the games, the anime. Even though I didn't really know that it was an anime, And then there are other shows after that, though. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Yep. I didn't even technically know the term anime. This is going to date me, but I didn't know the term anime until I played Metal Gear Solid for the first time. And heard Otacon say it for the first time. He's like from one of my Japanese animes. Yeah, the crap dub, people. Not the GameCube one that got better. The crap one.
So the best one?
Oh, yeah. We've actually had this discussion of like when we go into Metal Gear Solid, which one do we do? Because Alex wants to do the GameCube one because it's better. And then me and Romney are like, no, we have to do the original one. You have to hear the crap. It's amazing.
It sounds amazing.
It is, in fact, very amazing. Art of Anime, your first exposure to anime.
Okay, so the more and more I get asked that question, the harder and harder it is to answer.
I have a feeling I have a hentai question in my future.
So I'm going to try to keep this short. Okay. Obligatory Pokemon. Yes.
Okay.
Then there was Yu-Gi-Oh! Got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Enough to buy Japanese cards, propelling me into buying Shonen Jump. I did not know Shonen Jump was Japanese at the time. Boom, find manga.
Did you get like one of the rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards that would come in the magazine?
Yes.
Because like I think people were telling me like Magician of Black Chaos was only available via Shonen Jump, and
they had Obelisk the Tormentor too in it.
Yeah.
Then boom, watching late night television that I shouldn't be up during. Evangelion airs. I don't remember that for 15 years. Find it again because I think somehow Evangelion is Scryed. My cousin gets obsessed with Full Metal Alchemist, so I watch Full Metal Alchemist. I realize, boom, anime. When I was a kid, I had Final Fantasy VII. Those are anime boys.
we have a
Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts happened. Anime boys.
Oh, and Kingdom Hearts anime has been presented and denied by Square Enix like 4 times.
I don't think they should do it.
They shouldn't, but like the manga makes sense. They could do a manga and that's okay. But like I've heard 4 prominent studios have made a proposition.
The manga would be a new story that is canon to the entire story, so you would have to read it for the rest of the story to make sense.
So in other words, it's just another piece of canon that mainstream Kingdom Hearts fans would never get access to.
That's what's good about the PS4 collection.
This is in fact true.
Okay, I need to get the PS4 collection because I want to get into Kingdom Hearts.
So we actually have another interesting point being made in our live chat tonight. And welcome, live chat. We really appreciate you guys. You don't know nothing about Saturday morning cartoons when you have not seen the anime of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
I managed to find episodes of that.
World masterpiece.
Seriously, technically the oldest anime that I've ever watched, or at least as far as I'm concerned that it's the oldest, is when Anime Abandoned made the joke of the mysterious cities of gold. I'm like, I know what he's talking about because I've seen it.
I haven't. When is that from?
It's crap. It's an anime made by 2 Frenchmen.
Okay.
Literally, I can't even remember the plot to this day. I saw it as a kid, and I was like maybe somewhat interested in it. But as soon as I saw the intro, I'm like, that's nostalgia boner right there. Like I know exactly what that is. As soon as I heard "People of the Sun," it's supposed to be based on Incans or Mayans, one of the two.
That was I think I found what you're looking for. That was by Studio Pierrot.
Yes, it was one of their early works. So yeah, for the
1982.
For the people who love Naruto, Shippuden, Boruto, all that.
Is your oldest anime? Ah, damn.
All right, and since people are bringing up all these other ones, the other one that I also like to bring up with mine, like that I consider to be kind of my jump into anime, and people give me so much crap on it, I don't care tonight, is Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. And let me explain why. Literally, this was the timeline of events that happened. I saw on opening day the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street Fighter in theaters, and I'm a hardcore Street Fighter fan as a kid. I am literally walking out in a temper tantrum from that movie. I'm just like, that's not Street Fighter. It's not Street Fighter. Now I can look back on that movie and think it was amazing because it's absolutely just hilarious how bad it is. But then I was really pissed. So to make it up to me, about a week later, my brother decided to go and get a copy of Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, or it might have even been a month later, and showcase that. And immediately I was hooked on it because it's like, that's actually Street Fighter. So at this point, this anime craze, I am on board. Absolutely on board. This is amazing. And it's partially because of Vega and Chun-Li. I have no problem admitting that. It's probably the closest thing to hentai I've ever been to. The only people who are going to get this...
looking up some Chun-Li Rule 34 in your spare time.
Oh, no. I will not. No. I did one Google Images search of Chun-Li for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I won't ever go back. Like, I thought the Misty stuff was bad. No, Chun-Li is worse because for some reason people love to add extra layers of cellulite to her legs. I don't know why, but they do. Like, yes, I know her legs are abnormally huge. Okay, I'm not arguing with you on this, but they're not that big, people.
Just taking some artistic liberties.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, moving on into the next question that we actually have for this panel. Now that we've kind of given a first exposure, I just kind of want to open things up to what is an anime that you are nostalgic about? And by that, what I mean is if you see it on Adult Swim or on High Dive, like whatever you're watching, you have to sit down on the couch and watch it. Even if it's like, this could be a bad anime too, people. I've known people in my life that like absolutely hate a series, but when it's on the screen, they have to watch it for some reason. And the only reason that they gave me was because it brought them back to their childhood, even though they hate it, kind of thing. So what is an anime that you consider to be nostalgic? And again, by that definition, like you have to watch it, you have the DVDs, you have to dig it out, whenever, and you have good memories with it, whether it be just because it's in your childhood or because there were actually some good moments in your life when watching it. For me, I've made this kind of clear a number of times on other podcasts, but I actually do make it a habit of watching Yu Yu Hakusho once a year. And the main reason I do that is like when I first watched Yu Yu Hakusho, I watched it like any anime fan does. Like I watched it for the episodes. I wanted to see how the conflict would end, kind of thing. Like, just like any regular shonen fan would. But then I kept coming back to it after I got the DVDs, and I got something completely new out of it. So to bring people up to speed, when I first watched it, I was a diehard Hiei fan. Yes, I'll let you judge me for like 5 seconds. I was a hardcore Hiei fan. But then the more times I watched it, I actually started to lean towards Yusuke. And actually being a fan of Yusuke Urameshi, the main character of the series, and partially because of the journey that you actually see him go through from episode 1 to episode end. And it ends in a satisfying way. So at that point, I like to be able to see that journey because it reminds me of a lot of prominent events in my own life where things weren't certain. A lot of that is based on like teenage life going into young adult life. And being able to see somebody else go through their own struggles helps me to kind of reaffirm the struggles that I've gone through, how they've shaped me, and be able to help me to face the trials or whatever situations are going on during that time of the year for me. I can't necessarily say that I've watched Yu Yu Hakusho like every time at the same point in the year. It's been weird every time, especially this year where my DVDs no longer worked in my player and I had to go and scramble to get new Blu-rays of Yu Yu Hakusho. But Alex the Shadow Blazer, what is an anime that you consider to be nostalgic that you just have to sit down and watch?
Oh, that's tough because I got a lot of nostalgic favorites. Should I just pick one or what?
Just go with it.
All right.
Just go whatever's on your mind.
All right. I'd say
please
one
tell us what is on your mind on the couch.
Certainly given some recent news, the original Fruits Basket. still, I'm stoked about the remake, but I know the original is still gonna hold that special place in my heart.
Still don't believe it exists. Just gonna say,
you got a trailer, therefore it's proven.
I got a
for you.
minute's worth of animation that did not convince me. And by the way, for the record, neither was your sister.
Whatever. Anyway.
I should tell this story. Like so Alex insisted that we watch the new trailer because I'd already been saying in videos, like, I will believe that this is actually happening when I see a trailer. And so as soon as there was a trailer, he's like, okay, here you go. We both sat down and watched it. And literally the first reaction that happened out of it was his sister looking at me and going, that's not Fruits Basket. I don't recognize anybody in that. It's like, well, they are supposed to be based on a new art format. That's supposed to be Toru. That's supposed to shoot. That's not Shigure. I can't see his face.
They don't look that terribly different.
Apparently to her they are. Like I didn't bother me that much, but apparently to her they did. They did look way too different.
Well, thank you for the clarification of the story, because when you first said that, I thought you were saying that his sister didn't exist, and I was really confused.
Oh no, yeah. So for those who don't know, Alex is actually my brother-in-law. So at that point, like, I'm married to his wife. Yes, my waifu is his wife.
You're married to Alex's wife?
Yes, I am that too. I am that as well. No, I am married to Alex's sister.
I can make some jokes, but I probably shouldn't.
Yes. Anyway, so go on, Alex. Sorry.
So here's how the Fruits Basket story. Here's how my journey to that begins. When I was in high school, a friend of mine who was also very much into anime and into manga like I was, he shared with me the first volume of the manga. And I read through it, the first volume, and I really liked it. And I don't know what, for whatever reason, I never got further into the manga, just because I didn't drive at that point. I was still very early high school. It's like my first year. But I did have an anime club in high school, and all my club mates were pretty much Fruits Basket fans as well, which is saying something, because they were also really hard into a lot of the shonen stuff. This is the time that Bleach was going and Naruto was going. They all loved Full Metal Alchemist, but they all also loved Fruits Basket. So that was when I got my first taste of the anime, and that's when I decided to sit down and watch the anime for myself. And I absolutely loved the anime from there on, and that's my nostalgic story with Fruits Basket.
All right. Art of Anime, your nostalgic story on anime. So, like, an anime that whenever you see it on the screen, or you see the DVDs out and you're maybe feeling low or feeling on a good day, you have to pick it up and watch it.
Well, the first problem is I don't buy my anime.
Uh-oh. You filthy pirate.
Or he just streams everything.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I think the first one that would come to my mind, although it's not like it's nostalgic in the sense that it brings me back to my childhood, but it's the opening song that does.
Okay.
But it only aired 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay.
So it's JoJo Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. The third opening, Great Days, has this like mid-90s feel to it. And just the opening itself feels like you're going back in time.
All right. I will admit that I have been harped on for the last couple of years to watch JoJo. I've been making my way through other things, but I think it's time.
Opening 7.
All right.
Just do that, and then see if you feel that way.
Yeah, I don't even like JoJo, so didn't watch season 4. But that opening is one that it's an opening I really like. I did not think of it in that way, like it being nostalgic, but I can definitely see how it has an older style.
Okay. I like this idea. Like I said, I've been told by fellow Geek News panelist Stephen Romney to pick up JoJo who knows how many times. I think even he's kind of pushed you, Alex, to pick up JoJo because he really loves JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So much so that we actually did play like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game for Gaming with the Geeks at one point.
This might be a bit blasphemous for me to say, but part 3, the one that's like really popular and everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm.
After you watch part 1 and 2, you're gonna get to part 3, but you're gonna feel like, man, this is a slog.
I thought about just skipping part 3 and watching part 4, so I saw parts 1 and 2.
I'm okay with it because, like, you know, I always hit that point in an anime. Like, there's going to be a moment where the momentum is just kind of lost in a story. For example,
like 20 episodes of momentum lost.
to give a little bit of perspective, when I watched My Hero Academia for the time that actually cooked me, this is going to sound like blasphemy to My Hero Academia fans, but the Hero Killer Stain arc to me was a little too slow for my tastes, and therefore I was like sitting there going, can we just kill Stain and be done with it already? I don't care.
I didn't mind the Stain arc, but I feel like the first season was like really slow.
See, for me, it was season 2 that was really doing that, because the tournament at the very beginning it had some good moments, but there were a couple of fights that I just didn't care about. And then Hero Killer Stain also did that for me. And it's just because once you got that guy preaching, he didn't stop that quick. And there were points where I'm just sitting there going, okay, I get it. You're Dr. Doom. Move on. And so at that point, like, I get it. You can eat our blood and therefore be able to paralyze us. And depending on the blood type, you have different paralysis rates. I don't care. Get to the fighting. Especially when we had like legit stuff that I wanted to see aside from that, including who might be the overall villain of the series, because they were kind of hinting at One for All at that point. So, all right. So was there, aside from JoJo, was there any others that you want to bring up?
That and just Evangelion, but I've mentioned that a few times as to why, with the whole Skryed thing.
You know what? I could totally give you that credit, because I probably would have done that too. Like I saw Skryed and I'm like, yeah, this is probably just as weird as Eva in some ways.
It was more so that, you know, there's the organization Holy and Skryed and the organization Nerve and Ava. So I remembered like Shinji's Ava unit, and I remembered the organization Holy. So for all those years, I was looking for a show with a giant purple robot and an organization named Holy.
All right, Rising Sun, the anime that you are absolutely nostalgic for. Whenever you see it, you have to sit back and watch it.
Well, I actually don't really have a good answer for this, because they're anime I'm nostalgic for. But when I go to like rewatch them, I just don't get into them like I used to. But an anime that kind of fits when I was starting to get into it more, and then if I'd see it, I definitely do want to go watch it again. It would be Kill la Kill.
All right.
Because that was when I was starting to get into more beyond just like the big shows and seeing like what are the like.
All I'm hearing is you want to look up some Rule 34 of Ryuko Matoi.
Oh,
I mean, there is episode 15 that part.
I've never seen this. I don't even want to know what episode 15 makes it so bad.
That might not be quite right, but there is.
The only reference that I have to Kill la Kill is the actual, if you guys have seen it, the College Humor Butthurt Anime Fan video they did.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the only way I know about it, because they actually reference Kill la Kill, and I'm just like, there's no way that this is a plot line in anime. And then somebody's like, oh yeah, by the way, that's the plot line that they're ripping off. I'm like, this does not exist, and it does.
It exists, and it's awesome. It's one of my favorite shows. It is one, if I just, for a while when I was like trying to figure things out with my job, I just not be feeling it good. So I go like watch a couple episodes of it, really get into it. There's one time where I watched like the entire like episode 17 to the end in like 1 or 2 sittings.
Yeah,
as like a rewatch, because I liked it so much. And then I rewatched it this year with some friends. So yeah, it's a show that anytime I go back to, I get really excited, and I like it more every time I see it. So
and that works. Like it, you know, I haven't seen Kill la Kill, but I have the same level of passion for things like Yu Yu Hakusho like you do. And so at that point, like, as long as it inspires good memories, then we could take the whole weird plot line of a magical thong that makes you into a scissor killing yacht.
It's not completely correct, but
no, it's not. Like, again, I can't really explain the plot. I've only seen pieces of it. Our live chat also has brought up a couple of others that we can talk about. MartAnimE actually brings up that she grew up a lot on Dragon Ball. Very nostalgic for her. I can understand that, but for me, I got stuck with the weird Oceanic dubs, and I literally would watch one day and it would be in the middle of the Frieza arc, and then I would watch the next day and it would be the Cell arc.
How did they do that?
UPN. I have no other answer for that. So it was. I even remember they actually put the movie Tree of Might in episodic format. They literally put the movie Tree of Might in episodic format. So there was another time where I tuned in. I'm like, wait, an evil Goku? This is going to be amazing because he's an actual Saiyan. And then the next day, back to Zarbon and Vegeta.
So, like, they have no idea that they were not broadcasting an episodic show.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was the Oceanic dub. I confirmed the voice actors on it. Another one that gets brought up is, if I murder your names, by the way, I'm totally sorry about that live chat. LaXavier. And it was Ranma 1/2. That is another one that I kind of look back fondly. Occasionally people would bring that and Tenchi Muyo to me. And both, to me, I have good memories of. It was just flabbergasting to me that find out that the creator of Ranma 1/2 would eventually create Inuyasha, the one anime that brought my family together.
Huh.
Yeah, that's right. I said it. Like when Inuyasha was active, like people were still seeing new episodes for it. Like there were honest to gosh Christmas parties where me, my older sister, and my older brother were talking the plot in Inuyasha.
Interesting.
You better send a thank you letter to Rumiko Takahashi then.
Do you have her address?
Just send it on Twitter. Everyone has a Twitter.
Yeah, there you go. And then I'll get banned for stalking somebody that I wasn't really stalking. Then another suggestion that actually got brought up was also from LaXavier, and that is Shaman King. I actually have one of my best friends is a hardcore fan into Shaman King, so much so that when they talked about remaking Shaman King, he literally said, "No, it's not the same." And thankfully,
that's not Street Fighter.
No, that is not, in fact, Street Fighter. But he is going to kick Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is going to feel it. All right. Then we also have, let's see, the Cat Returns. Okay, so Robin's Reviews World is bringing the Cat Returns into this. So we have our first Ghibli reference. This is how Ghibli shaped my life.
I've still only seen 2 movies from them.
Too bad I'm not
which 2 there.
I still need to see everything past Castle in the Sky. Or actually, no, not Castle in the Sky. Howl's Moving Castle.
It's all right. I've only seen like 3 movies, and I don't have the drive to watch many more. Not a big Ghibli fan.
There was actually a point when I started on YouTube, and I was like, I'm going to watch every one of them because I'm that interested in what he's creating, especially when I saw The Wind Rises. But then things got slow.
Yeah, I found I just have trouble getting into movies unless it's like part of a series I'm already interested in.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. And Wind Rises was just so good, and it was such a I've seen a lot of people have that argument of Princess Mononoke is his magnum opus, and I completely disagree with you guys now. And the main reason being is it's The Wind Rises because this is the story that Miyazaki wanted to make.
Then I'll look into The Wind Rises because I wasn't that big of a fan of Princess Mononoke.
Neither was I. Seeing all those little fairies tweak their necks always bothered me. Really bad. Anyway, so we've talked about nostalgic anime that moved us, and we actually have to be able to see whenever it's on there. Is there a particular series or franchise that you hold nostalgia for? You don't have to necessarily watch it, but like, let's just say your favorite variation of it comes up. So for example, people will know I'm a big Gundam fan, but if you bring universal sentry to me, I will murder your family. All right? Especially if you bring me Victory Gundam, I will murder your family. I'm done with that series. But it's like if I came across Gundam 00 just in the middle of the night on Adult Swim or Iron Blooded Orphans, well, I can't necessarily say that one because I would actually try to avoid it. But it's Gundam, so I would actually try and be able to watch it. Is there any franchise that any of you guys hold that much nostalgia for? Alex, I know you have one.
I'm sure I have many.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one to come up.
Yeah, that one. That's for sure.
Yeah, that one. That's for sure. He's like completely avoiding that it exists right now. He's like, no, I don't want to talk about Dot Hack. Don't get me to talk about Dot Hack track.
It's just the obvious answers are the obvious answers. So I'm trying to be at least a little interesting tonight.
See, he must talk Dot Hack Art of Anime. Do you want to know why? Because he's going to be playing it very soon.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So I have to get him back.
Dragon Shadow real soon.
He's got to get back into the mood right before the Macho Man comes out of, well, death retirement and immediately bestows upon him an elemental hit.
Yeah, don't you want to educate all of us about Dot Hack in the chat and everyone else who has no idea what
All
it
you
is?
need to do is go watch Alex's Dot Hack timeline explained.
Yes. Watch that.
I think YouTube suggested that to me the other day.
What's funny is like now we played the PS2 Dot Hack, the first Dot Hack games on our Let's Play channel together, and now for some reason people will go and watch Alex's timeline explained, and apparently one of the recommendeds on that is our Dot Hack Let's Play, literally part 1 of it.
Ah.
And so at that point, like we've got a bunch of comments going, "Wow, I moved over from this." From the Dot Hack timeline explained into a game. That's amazing. And I've actually had a few people pull me aside. Is like, was that literally the first video of Dragon Shadow? Sorry, Alex, you wanted Sonic so bad, and nobody will acknowledge that Sonic is the first video on Dragon Shadow.
It's fine.
That's the way it goes. Art of Anime and Rising Sun. Do you guys have any particular franchises that you have that much love for? That much nostalgia for?
Oh, there is one for me, and it's actually one I've been watching recently, and that is Digimon.
Yeah.
It was probably the first like anime where I really got into the story of it. Like Pokemon, I saw, I was like, oh, it's cool. But Digimon, I was like, okay, I have to wake up. I have to be watching Fox Kids at 10:30 on Saturday morning so I can see the new episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Digimon ends at season 4, and Try doesn't exist for me.
That's actually, I was
Yeah,
going to get into
that's
that.
pretty much it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was season 1. Season 2 I watched, enjoyed it. 3 and 4, then 5 when I was in high school, I liked it. Maybe not quite as much, but I thought it was still cool. There's more Digimon, I like it. Season 6 and 7, I tried both of those and just couldn't get into them. But then Digimon
season.
Yeah, it was a cell phone one. I watched an episode and then dropped it.
Yeah.
Apparently it gets better later, but I'm not no.
Okay.
But then for Digimon Try, that's actually been the show I've been watching recently. So because the last movie came out this year, I'm going to include it on my giant end of year top list. So I've been watching all of them. I watched the first 4 and I've been liking a lot. Even though certain things don't make any sense, but I'll save that for another video.
The things that don't make any sense bother me.
Yeah.
I'm more curious as to why Try doesn't exist for you, Art of Anime.
The ending of the 3rd movie.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet, so great.
Yeah.
Now I have horrible things to look forward to.
I
I thought the worst that I had to look forward to was Gadoopromon in like the dirt face that Garurumon makes in the first movie.
I was thinking more so because of like how like they don't understand or they like forget how the power scaling thing worked, and that bugged me a lot.
And Alex, don't give me that dirty look. I wasn't the only one that reacted that way. Aldo did too.
To me, Try is just telling the same story again.
All right.
Except it's not doing it any justice.
Okay.
And it's missing the point of what made like I don't want to say what made Digimon, but I think it's missing the point of the like conflict of Digimon.
Yeah, they're trying to tell a new type of story with it. Which
Okay.
so far, I'm glad that they're doing something different, but I can agree that it's not the same as they were doing before.
I'll take you guys' word for it. I'm literally waiting until all the DVDs are out, and then me and my wife are gonna watch them.
I just have 2 words: Ken Ichijoji.
Yeah,
is he gonna be in it?
Yeah,
he's kind of in it.
Yeah, I have.
See, I'm both happy about that and not, because Derek Stephen Prince will be coming back to play him. But
see, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's Ken Ichijoji, but it's not actually Ken Ichijoji, and he's the Digi Emperor.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, let me finish the last 2 movies, and I'll get back to you on that.
I can't even remember the last movie of the Tri series I saw. I
watched the 4th one. Like I got to the 4th one and I stopped.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've seen up to 3 or 4. I can't remember. I have to look at my anime list.
So
and then
I'll watch 5 and 6 in the next couple days. So
a couple of other suggestions that we're actually getting in the live chat. One is Wolf's Children. I know
Wolf's Children. That's good.
That's how they said it in the chat. Wolf's Children.
Yes. Well, it's
not my fault here.
Well, they are children of a wolf. So
yeah,
that's true.
Yes. Dog of Flanders. Is that an actual anime? I've never heard that title before.
It's actually it's based on a
Dog of Ned Flanders.
Novel.
Because the first thing that comes to my mind is like, "Hi, diddly do, neighbor. Woof woof."
not that Flanders. Flanders, as in the location in the Netherlands.
All right.
Oh, it can't be as good then.
Oh wait, actually, it might be Belgium. It's in that region. I can't quite remember, but it's a really great movie.
Forlorn Hope also brings up Digimon, as well as Yu Yu Hakusho and Fruits Basket as being nostalgic for her. Let's see. We also have Robotech. Is nostalgic for me, but it is hard to watch again now, especially when it recaps every episode. Yeah, I'll admit I loved it when you could get like VHS episodes of it. And the first couple of episodes really kind of set the tone. And then you actually watch it as an adult and you find out that, well, the plot doesn't make any sense. Your enemies are afraid of love. That's why they're fighting you. If you show them any kind of affection, they turn on their former comrades and immediately embrace your culture. Yeah, it's a little hard to watch. And then also, MartAnimE brings up Captain Tsubasa.
Yeah, I feel like sports anime.
Oh, okay. For a second there, I was like, wait, Alex likes a Tsubasa thing. No, it's Tsubasa Chronicles, isn't it?
Yes, that's the one I like. Captain Tsubasa is the one about soccer.
Well, now that we've had a reference to both Tsubasa as well as Tsukasa, so
also would probably be one of my other nostalgic kind of franchises, even though I'm more fond for the series than I am the OVAs.
Oh, and then another one that also gets brought up by Noirlax is Ninja Hattori. I'm not aware of that series, but
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah,
rings a bell, but I can't think of what it is actually.
So the next question I want to get into is, like I said, we occasionally on this podcast, we talk about the good, but we also talk about the bad. And nostalgia isn't necessarily limited to good. There are bad anime out there. We're not lying about that. There are anime that have the weirdest plots and absolutely do not make any sense whatsoever.
But those are the best anime.
But have that weird, morbid fascination. That we have to sit back and watch them. So this is going to be like weird nostalgia. And I'm just going to go ahead and give an example. One that always blows my mind to this day, especially when I see like talks of bringing it back to Blu-ray. I will always remember that one Monday morning where I came across Samurai Pizza Cats. And the sad reality of this is that I was actually trying to come across something good and was on the wrong channel. Because I was trying to catch an episode of Ronin Warriors because that really that captivated me in my teenage years because, well, samurai. And then I went to the wrong channel and came across Samurai Pizza Cats and was never the same ever again. Yeah. There you go. Alex, what is an anime series for you that it's not that you love it, but you have weird nostalgia for it?
Weird nostalgia for a series that I don't love. Oh, Come back to me. I got to think about this one.
You have to think about it. Aha! So, Art of Anime, do you have one?
I'm also thinking.
All right, Rising Sun.
Am I allowed to say SAO?
Okay, that's actually a good one. That's actually a good
it's
talking
too
point
late now.
No, see, now that he brings up SAO, we can talk about SAO.
Oh, what have I done?
Oh, no.
It's almost like he walked right into Art of Anime's evil plot.
I should have known he was hypnotizing me this whole time.
Yes. There you go. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what about SAO is weird for you and hence why you wanted to bring it up?
Is that for me?
That's for you.
It's a show that I remember watching. It's not one I especially like, but the fact that it does the things it does makes it interesting.
He see the thing is he popped a chub when he figured out Kirito and the sister were like having a thing.
That ALO mark.
And we've had another Why We Geek first where I'm not sure if I need to edit popped a chub. All right. This is a family thing, right? Not really. Not tonight.
I mean, it's about family.
Yeah, it is in fact about family and all of the good things that matter about the holidays. And what are we talking about again?
SAO.
All right. So now that we've discussed SAO, now we can pull a Dusty Rhodes and we can move on to other things because I'm a super genius. And there you go, Jiro the hero. I brought it up for you. Now are you going to stop bringing hard times upon Dusty Rhodes? Are you going to stop bringing hard times so we can bring up the next question? All right, because I'm a super genius, and that's the way we go. So we also have a couple of other suggestions for weird ones. I knew this was going to come up. Bo.
I think I remember that airing right before or after Naruto or some other show I was really into.
See, what's funny is I've seen a few episodes, but then somebody actually, an old friend of mine, said that he was an absolute fan of it. And why? Because it was a comedic retelling of Fist of the North Star. And I'm just like, no, it's not, because I'd seen the original anime movie back in the day, and immediately we put on an episode, and I'm like, good Lord, he's right. Good Lord, he's right, because I didn't I had not seen it in years, and I'm like, Fist of the Nose Hair, damn it.
Huh. I
can't get it out of my head. Now I can't watch Fist of the North Star ever again. Nah, can't happen.
You got Fist of the Blue Sky.
So another one that actually also got brought up in here was more Samurai Pizza Cats. Why do you guys hate me so much? And another one is Blue Gender is also very weird to one of our listeners.
Yeah, I heard that was a good show.
It blue gendered everything.
It, in fact, did blue gender everything. There was lots of blue gender going around. Along with another substance that we can't bring up here. That series, even I'll admit, when that first came up on Adult Swim, it was a weird curiosity because it looked like it was really cool. Like it was an anime interpretation of Starship Troopers to me. And then you get to know the society that Blue Gender is based in, and you kind of wonder whether or not you're watching a porno.
I see.
Just saying. Am I the only one that's ever watched it?
I want to see it, but I've never seen it, so
it's one of those weird series that I have it actually creates a love-hate relationship for me with Laura Bailey, because she's like the best part of that series. But in order to get to those best moments, you have to get through a lot of porn. I mean, a lot. A lot.
Good to know.
All right. So the next question that I want to get into, we'll dip back into the positive for a second. What is a character in anime that you have a lot of nostalgic love for? You don't necessarily have to like the series that he's in, but this character, you just have a lot of good memories for. You've maybe learned a life's lesson from them. I've literally talked to people that thought that Goku literally shaped their lives, and most of them are fitness fanatics. So you know why they shaped their life. Yeah.
So
you can't get muscles like that, right?
You can if you try hard enough.
This is a Super Saiyan.
And this is to go beyond the level of a Super Saiyan. Or we're just going to call it Super Saiyan 2. And then we're going to go into 10 minutes of screaming while I literally grow longer hair and for some reason have hot dog sausages for eyebrows. I love Super Saiyan 3. I love the theme. Don't give me crap about it, but the form always did make me a little weirded out. I have no problem admitting that.
The better question is, as his forms got stronger, why didn't his hair get longer?
That is also a very good question. It's one of those things where I'm going to get some Dragon Ball hate, but apparently you're not supposed to like Super Saiyan 4, and I did actually like the idea of it and the way that the form looked, just because it felt a little bit more akin to the Uzaru, to the giant ape. And then we went to Super Saiyan Blue, and I went, what? What?
Well, don't forget Super Saiyan God.
And now I'm forever reminded of Masako X's music video. I'm blue, and I'm in need of a fight. I'm in need of a fight. All right. So, so nostalgic character that we have, I actually didn't bring up. I completely bypassed it for some weird reason. I'm going to give an old one, and I'm also going to give a new one just because I really do have a lot of love for a most recent character that I've come across. No, guys, unfortunately, it is not Izuku Midoriya. He already got his spotlight, all right? He got his spotlight as my first video.
Is it Naruto Uzumaki?
That's mine.
No, I'm kidding.
Because he is, in fact, orange Izuku.
He, in fact, is Bakugo.
No, we will come back to that because I have a complaint about the green Naruto meme.
All right.
Okay.
So for me, a nostalgic character that I bring up obviously is Yusuke Urameshi, and the main reason being is because, I really love the journey that he went through now as growing up. So therefore, I can find a lot of stuff to be able to relate to. Plus, well, he has also married my waifu because my waifu is my Keiko. The other one that I also like to bring up, and I shouldn't like this guy, at least according to some, Yukihira Soma. I like a lot of the development. What was that?
You said Yukihira from Food Wars?
Yes.
Yukihira Soma. To like him? What?
I like him, and the main reason I like him because no, I love him. And the main reason I love him is because he's an interesting take on the shonen protagonist. And yes, as far as I'm concerned, that show is shonen. It is also what's the term? Ichi?
Ecchi.
It's also that.
Ichi.
I can't deny that. But it's also shonen, and again, Soma is a unique take on that kind of protagonist archetype, where that show loves to make Soma fail. That show loves to be able to have him lose.
The whole thing with that is Soma fails, and every failure he sees as an opportunity to learn.
And that's why I love the character. Like the one of the things that I took away from The Last Jedi, I know I took away something from The Last Jedi. Somebody should probably hate me now because of that. Was the conversation between Luke and Yoda, which is failure is the greatest teacher. And there's no better example than Yukihira Soma. Because he does, like, there are a couple of moments where he doesn't fail huge, but he fails enough that he loses faith in himself, where he actually will re-question how he interprets how food is made, how he should be approaching food wars or shokugekis. And it's actually an interesting process to be able to see him go through and get stronger as a result.
I would also argue that there's points where other people say that he's doing good enough, but he still sees them as failures in ways to improve beyond that.
One of the things I absolutely love is there are a couple of times in Food Wars where he's facing off against, like, I think Alice Nakari was one of them, where he's like, yeah, this whole dish that I have created that is winning this battle, it came from a mistake. It came from a failure. It came from one of the failures that we've actually seen. And we can actually see him now become a victor because of it.
Yeah, you make me want to go watch Food Wars. I did not think that would happen from you.
Yeah, there you go. Just be prepared for foodgasms. They happen.
I've seen a few episodes. I know what to expect.
Yep. Alex, a nostalgic character that you love.
Nostalgic character I'd love. I would say Rosette from Chrono Crusade. One of the probably first characters I connected with, even though I don't share a lot of, say, similarities with her. Maybe I do. I don't know. But I remember Rosette really leaving that lasting impression on me because, and really kind of sort of when I started to notice what kind of attributes I really like in a character. And I really like characters that really put a lot on the line for somebody they really care about, a family member, a loved one, whatever. And Rosette was the first one I kind of really saw do that in an anime. That's again, as I was kind of slowly getting much more exposure to anime back in my early days. So I would, say she is still a very meaningful character.
All right. Art of Anime, a character in anime that you are nostalgic for.
Well, first I'm going to go back to my green Naruto meme complaint.
All right, cool. Yes.
Because that will lead.
Because through the rules, he has green hair.
Because that will lead into what I'm about to say.
All right.
Because I'm currently watching Hunter x Hunter. And seeing the inspiration that Naruto got from that. Wouldn't
okay. I've never seen Hunter x Hunter, so I'm going to take your word for it.
There's Sasuke is basically Kurapika, but
okay.
Wouldn't it be safer to say that Naruto is Hunter x Hunter, like Orange Hunter x Hunter, and then My Hero Academia is Hunter x Hunter 2.0, as opposed to Green Naruto?
I haven't seen it, so sure.
I'm lost already, but that's just because I've never seen Hunter x Hunter, so I can't vouch for this.
I really do.
But you've seen Hakusho. Same guy.
Is Hunter x Hunter from the same guy who made Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I haven't seen Hakusho yet, so I don't know the similarities between them.
It would be very interesting to see the similarities. I'll have to check it out. I just know, like, when Hunter x Hunter was being brought up to me, it was being brought up right alongside My Hero Academia. And so people would go out of their way to say, like, don't go watch Hunter x Hunter, you'll never like it, but go watch My Hero. And this was around the time where I could get in maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and it never hooked me. And finally, now I'm hooked on My Hero Academia, but there was like a series of 2 or 3 attempts where I would watch that, and I never went back to Hunter x Hunter because everybody told me, no, My Hero's better.
I was surprised because it seemed like Hunter x Hunter is like regarded as one of the best shonen.
Hunter x Hunter is slower. That might be why people say that. More than half of the series is one arc.
And again, these are friends that are bringing it up to me. And I used to love Bleach, but then Bleach slowed the F down, and I began hating that show.
Hunter x Hunter is the kind of slow where it's like a lot is happening.
Okay.
But it's happening all as a slow burn.
All right.
Yeah. So like instead of like progressing one plot point, they'll like progress 20 a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sure I'll like it if I ever give it a try.
That brings me to my nostalgic character, because Shonen, who's nostalgic for many people that watch Shonen. It's still popular to this day. It's Edward Elric.
2003 or Brotherhood?
I don't remember 2003 that much. But 2003 was my first exposure to him.
Yep. I technically have both, and I'll just go ahead and point it out. I'm a much bigger fan of Brotherhood, but part of that is because I finally got resolution on a lot of the things that I wanted to see. AKA, I finally got to see the Edward Winry ship sail, and that was important to me. And fuck you, 2003, for not giving me that.
It's okay. 2003 gave us Hitler.
It in fact did.
Yes,
it gave us Femme Hitler. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Conqueror of Shambhala.
Yeah, that was, I like Conqueror of Shambhala, not because it was necessarily good, but because of how I had no idea that they could possibly go that direction, but they did.
Yeah, it's an interesting turn, but now that I've seen Brotherhood, Conqueror is harder to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Brotherhood is like one of my favorite anime of all time. The original and Conqueror together, it's good, but not nearly at the same level.
All right. And Edward Elric does actually make a lot of sense. He is an endearing character. I personally believe that Brotherhood does a little bit more to endear him than 2003 does, because the problem is 2003 tries to keep him as a strong loner type for most of that series, and Brotherhood actually tries to take a lot of different turns with Edward, and it works a little bit better. Like, one of my favorite episodes of Brotherhood is when he goes back to what's their hometown?
I don't remember.
He goes back to their hometown to go and dig up his mother's grave. Yeah. Remember 2003 when you got to meet Edward's dad like really late into the series? No, Brotherhood, actually, you get to meet him like 15, 16 episodes in, and you get to have that interaction, and you get to see why Edward doesn't like Hohenheim, and immediately Hohenheim gets him to basically go dig up his mother's grave. And it's a hard scene to watch, but it's actually a really powerful character development moment for Edward.
Yeah, I'm probably going to rewatch Brotherhood soon, and since it's been 6 years since then, so I'm excited to re-experience this all again.
Yep. So we have Edward Elric, Rising Sun, your nostalgic character.
Oh, there are two of them. One is kind of more recent, and that would be Naruto, just how much I was able to get into that and the show as a whole. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is going back a bit older, is Lee from Cardcaptor Sakura. I don't remember that much of it, so my explanation of why might be a bit off, but I enjoyed seeing his parallel story with Sakura and how he was sort of a rival, but also growing close to her and all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I enjoyed seeing him too in the more recent edition, though I found that series more boring than anything. So,
is Clear Card done, Alex?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay,
as far as I know, unless they're planning more, but as far as I know, it's done.
Because I told you I wouldn't watch it till I could binge it. So now that I can binge it, I will go and watch it.
I don't feel it's a good binge anime.
I only binge for anime, and it's just because I don't have time to do otherwise.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do for the most part too. I do my end of year list, but I have a list of 30 shows I needed to either finish or drop before I can make that list. So.
Yep. So the next question that I actually have is kind of an opposite one. So we've talked good characters here, but one thing I've kind of noticed is we haven't brought up villains in anime, and there are a lot of really good villains that can be looked upon fondly because they did the exact right thing for everybody that watched the series. And so I'm going to go into your favorite nostalgic anime villain. And I'm actually going to bring up two examples because one of them is kind of an in-between, but you love to hate him. And the other one is a solid or a more solid villain that people can appreciate. So the first one that you can truly appreciate is I'm going to get such hate for bringing this guy up, but he is so the villain that I always like to watch. Naraku from Inuyasha. I've always been a big fan of the subtle manipulator, the guy that the villain that's always 10 steps ahead of the hero. And they're so far ahead that they can literally experiment with what they actually want to do to F around with the hero. And Naraku is a perfect example of this. In fact, like I said, our family would have all these Christmas party discussions. A lot of them were about Naraku and all of the various things he would throw at the heroes. So incarnations, he'd throw those at them. He would actually resurrect mercenaries to be able to fight on his behalf. You had tons of really great arcs there. And so that's the perfect villain as far as I am concerned. Just the subtle manipulator that can make you go through hell, and all he has to do is just remind you of what brought you there in the first place, kind of thing. I would actually also dare say that Father also kind of does this in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He's an awesome subtle manipulator that if people have never seen, you really should see.
And with Brotherhood, I liked how you had Father doing that, but you also had Hohenheim doing what he was doing.
Every homunculus was doing it, and that's where it actually got very interesting. They actually took what, in my opinion, was the weirdest swerve in 2003 with Envy and made it make sense in Brotherhood.
Right. Brotherhood's just amazing.
Then the other one that I want to bring up, technically in wrestling terms, this guy would be called a tweener. And that's just basically he can be good at sometimes and he can be evil others. And that would be Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, yep.
And the reason I'm bringing him up is because, again, I'm going to be going into wrestling analogies. You guys will actually even hear me do this when I get to my 12 days video. Spoiler, he's probably part of the list. Seto Kaiba is the Ric Flair of anime.
Can't help it if he's custom made.
Exactly. The $600 Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah, Kaiba has just an awesome flair about him that he works either way.
For people who don't know who Ric Flair is, Ric Flair's character is roughly a bad guy, but a bad guy that you love to hate. All right? Like, he walks into the room and he immediately makes you feel like you are poor as church mice, and you immediately resent him because of it. But what's funny is that the exact same character can be portrayed as a good guy. So he's still richer than you, and he can still kick your butt, but you respect him because he can.
You bring Kaiba up, but what about Kaiba Man?
Kaiba Man.
I have mixed feelings on Kaiba Man from GX. But yeah, Seto Kaiba is that character. He is the Ric Flair character. There are moments where you love and respect him, where he's going through his own arcs and he's trying to save Mokuba, and you're like, go Kaiba, go get him. And the second that Yugi's entourage walks in, he immediately makes fun of Joey, and you're like, I hate that guy. How dare he make fun of Joey in his Brookstralian rage.
Brookstralian rage.
But the thing you don't want to admit to yourself,
and it's only I that does the Brookstralian. He does perfect Brooklyn.
Love to hate Kaiba. You love to loathe him. And that's why he works. That's why the belts on his elbows work, baby.
And that coat.
That coat, yes. Well, all the coats.
I wish
I don't know the white coat. The white coat.
The Battle City one is good, but like I will also acknowledge the Grand Championship one, where it was like basically a merger of Battle City and Duelist Kingdom. His outfits for both of those, it still worked for me because like you could literally have him playing an organ in the middle of nowhere and he'd still be the villain. The only way I know how to describe that to people is go and watch Fatal Fury's second movie. And like, it has the cheesiest villain ever. And his entrance every time into this movie is playing a pipe organ before he goes off and does evil deeds. All right. That's Seto Kaiba to me. All right. So there you go.
Just a special series.
He'll probably get brought up into my 12 days, but Shadow Blazer, your favorite nostalgic anime villain.
I'm going to bounce back to Chrono Crusade again. And I would say Ion. He was kind of the main big bad of the series, even though his presence is pretty scarce through most of it. He only shows up a little more towards the end, but I do remember his first appearance being pretty intense. Right. When I first went into Chrono Crusade, I kind of thought, okay, this is gonna be kind of a fun light romp adventure series, action. They fight demons, and then all of a sudden Ion shows up and the whole tone changes and suddenly it turns into a horror anime. And I really just started to enjoy it way more at that point, even though I was enjoying it up to that point. But that was really a great turning point for the show.
All right. So we have Naraku, we have Ion, we also have Seto Kaiba because he is the Ric Flair of anime. Rising Sun, your favorite nostalgic anime villain.
Well, I'm going to go with the first one that came to mind when you asked that, and that would be Myotismon from Digimon. Yeah, because that was it was his arc is when I first started watching it. So I had seen no one like him before. I liked how overpowered he was, how much stronger than the Digidestin and their Digimon.
The villain that technically got shafted amongst Digimon villains. If you think about it,
how?
Yeah, like how
If you talk season 2, yeah, he got shafted pretty bad, but
yeah, like season 2 is like, oh, Myotismon is cool. Let's bring him back, even though it doesn't fit or
makes sense for him to be there. Yeah. The one of the things that bothers me about Myotismon is like he had a really great ending arc where he became, the number of the beast. He became his big mega level form, and that's how they introduced the mega level form for our allies. But then that should have been the end of the series, as far as a lot of people are concerned, and I'm kind of there with them. Then the Dark Masters arc happened, and
I'm not.
Yeah, I really like the Dark Masters arc, but
I like it too. But it's like it almost feels like we should have bounced back to MyOtismon, because he's the subtle manipulator of the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe bring him back for Apocalypse or whatever that guy's name was.
Yeah,
that
like if he had been taken over, like Apocalypse came out and then got taken over by MyOtismon, I would have been.
Apocalypse was really a wasted villain, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's like they brought him in last minute as like the grand villain behind everything, but he had like 2 episodes, and that wasn't.
Well, yeah, he's the greatest villain of the entire season. And why do you get the pizza? Why I only get the crust?
Okay, that's just bad dubbing, but
yes.
I mean, I love the cheesy dub to death of Digimon, but Jesus, couldn't they tone it down for the last episode?
I'm glad TriStar has a lot of cheesy lines in it. That just makes it amazing.
Jiminy Christmas. Art of Anime, your favorite nostalgic anime villain.
Okay, so I have 2, just like you, Drac. One of them is from Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's not Kaiba.
Are you going to do what I think you're going to do? Do I get to bring out another voice right now?
Well, what do you think I'm going to say?
Is it time for us to go to the card graveyard? Or is it time for us to go, Art of Anime boy?
It's Yami Merrick.
Ah, damn it.
You have a voice for him?
He's not an anti-hero.
I have a special spot for you. Merrick in general. I like Merrick Ishtar as a character, but I think Yami Merrick is just that kind of, specifically that duel where Yami Bakura helps Merrick fight Yami Merrick.
Wait, I don't remember
you're
that
talking. So are you talking the original Merrick and Bakura teaming together to fight Yami Merrick?
When Merrick Ishtar and Yami Bakura,
that's a good duel.
The same body fighting Yami Merrick.
Yeah, that's an amazing duel as far as I'm concerned, because like up until that point we really hadn't seen villains take each other on. It was always a hero villain kind of deal. Yeah. And this time it's like you technically don't have anybody to cheer for, because this was around the time where Merrick wasn't looked upon very well. He was still kind of he had that little emo phase.
We knew a little about the real Merrick.
Yes.
But not enough like we did by the end of the series to actually regard him as like a hero character.
Yeah. So, and also the other thing that I love about that duel is like, if you want to see an entire card pack being able to be showcased, Legacy of Darkness is shown very well in that duel, because it's pretty much, was it Legacy of Darkness or was it Dark Ruler? I can't remember, but it's pretty much Bakura's deck, where you have like Dark Necrofear, you have everything in there except for Dark Sanctuary. What was that?
I think that was Dark Crisis.
Dark Crisis, yeah, that sounds about right. But you have like an entire showcase there, because you had the Dark Ruler, you had Dark Necrofear, you had tons of like these fiend and demonic cards that were being played, and all of them look really awesome being played up against Merrick's strategy for Raw.
I also think Yami Merrick was like, I'm not really into like the purely evil villains.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Yami Merrick was that kind of pure evil.
Yes.
That is just realistically pure evil.
Mm-hmm. It was like the best way I know how to describe Yami Merrick is untethered rage.
Yeah.
Like every bit of rage that Merrick had was then focused into, so like basically Merrick's id had been given form in his body.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, look, I did get a Xenogears reference in, didn't I, Alex?
So my second one is kind of more of a meta villain. The character isn't really a villain, but I suppose most of the fan base could see him as one, because he took something that everybody loved away from them.
All right.
And that's Tracy Sketchup from Pokemon, because he took away Brock.
Oh, I'm sorry. Give me a second. Oh, the whiplash. Oh, my neck.
Are you okay?
I think I'll be okay. I might need to get Art of Anime's car insurance, but I think I'll be okay. I just didn't expect Tracy. Wow. I'm going to give my wife like 3 minutes before she storms in and goes, "You're wrong." Because she has a love for Tracy.
Okay.
I technically like Tracy too, but that's just because he had a Scyther in his arsenal. So the old, what I like to call the old soldier Scyther, because he was an old fart, and they kept on emphasizing that he was an old fart and he'd seen some shit.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. All right, so we have some interesting pictures. Why Tracy? I'm just curious.
Because he
took away Brock?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, sure. That makes a little bit of sense.
Like I said, he was a meta pick.
All right.
He's a villain to the fan base.
See, at that point, I would actually say like it was probably a good idea to get Brock out of the series, because they were running out of stuff to do with the Jenny and Joy joke. And it was, and for those who want to make the argument, no, they hadn't hit that point yet, go watch Johto sometime. Like Misty's entire role in the series then became having to drag Brock away from a Joy or a Jenny. She is the doting mother to Brock. Not even kidding. But anyway.
I won't argue that.
All right. So the wrap-up question that I actually want to, we're down to 2, actually. The next one that I should bring up because, well, shipping is a part of anime, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. But the next question is basically, do you have a relationship in anime that you are nostalgic for? Like you watch it and immediately it's like, oh, you don't have to like the series, but you're immediately just going, oh, and that's immediately like, I want to be able to have a girlfriend like that kind of thing. So for mine, it's not going to surprise anybody. It is Yusuke and Keiko. Why? Because I married my Keiko.
Oh,
so romantic.
And by the way, all the people on Twitter who say that I'm just basically trying to score points for my wife, no. I mean, I am trying to score points with my wife, but I don't need to do that.
It's definitely part of it.
Seriously, my wife is the easiest person to be able to do that. Buy her a video game for Christmas and you're good. Flowers? Why would you buy flowers? Buy a CD of a soundtrack that she really wants from a movie. It works.
Yeah, that works.
I'm going to be in such trouble after this. But yes, Yusuke and Keiko for me. Art of Anime. Let's start with you. Anime relationship that you are nostalgic for.
Tracy in the door. No, on a more serious note.
There is such a hatred for Tracy. I'm not sure why. Maybe I need to highlight him in my 12 days of anime and consider why he is the Ric Flair of anime. I don't know.
On a serious note, I never really got into like shipping any characters together, so I don't really have one.
Very cool. Rising Sun, what about you?
Can I go with Brock and Nurse Joy?
What have I started?
It will one day happen.
Man's what he want to be, but there's 2 perfect girls for him.
Yes,
indeed.
Yeah, when I was
Officer Nurse Jenny Joy.
Yeah, when I was young enough to be like getting nostalgic for shows, there weren't really any romantic parents I was interested in. Now I just find the bizarre off the wall ones funny, so those don't really count.
And somebody just barely said to me, an entire hentai fan fiction has been made just in the last couple of questions that have been asked on this podcast. I have a feeling it's going to involve Brock and Tracy and Nurse Joy.
I kind of feel like I have to review it if it exists.
Yeah. I think you would be expected to at this point, Rising Sun.
All right.
Alex,
when it's done, send me a link. I will review it.
All right. Alex the Shadow Blazer, an anime relationship that you look fondly back on.
I'll always be a Sakura Shaoran shipper from Cardcaptor Sakura.
Oh,
always.
Of course. All right, and before we wrap up with the last question here, I do actually want to get into some of the character ones that have been brought up in the live chat. First of all, we have Gohan being brought up from Dragon Ball Z. I'm guessing from Dragon Ball Z, or are you talking the adult Gohan? Yeah, that's one to be able to go nostalgic for. One of the most memorable moments of Dragon Ball Z is Gohan becoming Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. Everybody's seen it.
I really liked Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. I liked him more because he was like the underpowered character, and so seeing him struggle, like, how do I fight?
You literally got to see him progress.
Yeah, to be like the weak character who always has to be rescued, to being the one who defeated Cell.
Exactly. So another one that actually is getting brought up is Kanata from Lucky Star. I do not know who that is.
That's the main character, the blue-haired girl.
All right. I still don't know who that is. I've never seen Lucky Star.
Never watched Lucky Star.
Sorry, BB, I haven't seen it.
Because it doesn't have giant robots in it, therefore you don't care.
Yes, it does not have giant robots or massive power levels.
Yeah, and there are no explosions, so I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, well, somebody actually made the analysis on Dragon Shadows, like, there's no conflict, ergo he doesn't care. Yes, that's why
I would argue that the conflict of Lucky Star is Kanata trying to like get her anime.
All right.
Conflict.
That sounds like plenty of conflict, being able to get your anime up and off the ground. So the next one also got brought up was Margaret from Madlax. That's the which is that the one that was in Brazil or the one that was in Europe or Japan?
Europe.
Okay. So there you go. We've got that one. Let's see. We also have Naraku being brought up, and then also Vegeta. So another DBZ one being brought up. And yes, we have BB's World actually asking if Vegeta counts as a villain. Yes, he does.
I can see.
Did you ever hear that phone call that Chris Sabat made to that kid? And he's like, "Who's your favorite Dragon Ball character?" And the kid's like, "Goku."
Wrong answer.
And he's like, "You don't? Why Kakarot? Why not Vegeta, Prince of the Saiyans?"
Just curious, did anybody see Chris Sabat's Twitter like yesterday, where he decided to give himself a mask on his picture of him eating a chicken strip, but having like Super Saiyan God Vegeta pasted on top of it? And he's like sitting there all sexily eating a chicken strip.
Okay, you go look that up now.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. And then immediately right after, he's like, "What are you doing, Sean Schemmel?" And so it's one of those things where I need to go and look up and see if he challenged Sean to do something similar to it. All right. And then also another interesting anime series that got brought up in our live chat too is Fully Cooley.
Yeah.
I do know a few people who look back nostalgically on that. I can't because it hurts my brain.
I feel like I saw the two recently for it to be nostalgic.
I saw it when it debuted on Adult Swim, and I still can't make hide nor hair of it. I mean, it's enjoyable, but I can't make hide nor hair of it.
Are you gonna find Haruko?
It's just there for Gynax to show off.
I didn't even get the actual analysis of the Anno jokes that were being done with the kid's dad until I watched it after I saw Ava. And it was like, wow, yeah, he is a walking, talking Hideaki Anno. What the hell?
Have you ever seen
just learned that
Insufficient
now. Thank you.
Direction?
What was that?
Have you ever seen Insufficient Direction?
I have not.
It's a very short anime based on a manga that Hideaki Anno's wife made about her and her husband.
All right.
And mainly his obsession with Super Sentai and anime music.
Okay. I will check this out. Insufficient Direction?
Yeah, it's probably like a half hour long.
I will go and see if I can find it then. All right, and we are unfortunately almost out of time, so we'll go ahead and get into the last question that we have. And for any nostalgic lover of games, of TV, of anime in particular gets this question, so I feel it's only appropriate to end on it, which is, if you were to recommend anime to somebody for them to be able to watch for the first time, what would be the gateway drug that you would recommend to that person? And I'm just going to go. So this was a listener brought forth question, and we get it all the time on Geek News. And I've gotten it on Why We Geek when we did anime in general. It's very difficult to be able to answer that question. okay? Because you literally have to take into account the person that is watching with you, and that can lead to a bunch of issues there. The two that I'm just going to go ahead and bring up that I have recommended to more people than anything are Cowboy Bebop and Inuyasha. Mainly when Inuyasha was at the height of its popularity on Adult Swim, which wasn't that long. I recommended that just because for people who loved fantasy, for people who loved like demon slaying anime, this was a really great way for you to be able to get in and for it to not be overwhelming. Basically, what I was trying to recommend to you was I was trying to avoid Hellsing. All right, I didn't want to bring you into a bloodbath, but instead bring you into something that could kind of desensitize you a little bit and then bring you in. And then Cowboy Bebop, obviously, because it works for everybody. There are a lot of US trends in there that can work for US fans. And then at that point, basically be a gateway into a lot of Japanese tropes that you can then go into other anime with. So Alex the Shadow Blazer, an anime that you would recommend to a newcomer.
I'm going to kind of echo your sentiments a bit right there at the start. This is a question I don't like to ask on such a broad term, because I really want to know more about a person and their personal tastes before I recommend something. If somebody's like a much more of, say, a lover of romance, I'm probably not going to recommend them Cowboy Bebop, even though Bebop gets recommended all day long by everybody and their dog. I might recommend something like Fruits Basket if they like action shows, or if they like Star Wars. And sure, I might go with something like Bebop or Outlaw Star, right? But basically, I don't like to answer this question at all on such a broad basis. I prefer to answer it more to a narrow, specific person, to a specific taste.
You have to, roughly. Otherwise, it just doesn't really work. So anime is not my example, but I've got this question numerous times as a gamer. Whereas, like, what's the game you would recommend for everybody to be able to go and try to get them into video games? And I always answer that question with another question, which is, what do you like? Okay, I like race cars. All right, then I would recommend like Twisted Metal for you, or I would recommend like a NASCAR game or Gran Turismo. But it's difficult to be able to say that there's one general anime that everybody must watch, and it is the gateway drug. And I know that a lot of Cowboy Bebop fans are going to get mad at me and say, that is the gateway drug. Maybe in the 90s, but not anymore.
Yeah, to be fair, Cowboy Bebop was one of the earlier animes I tried, and then I dropped it after a few episodes. So
I had to push myself to watch it for the first time, but then I saw a lot of the beauty in it.
And I appreciate it, but it's not something I get excited for.
Yep. But I mean, here again, this is where Bebop worked for me, but Shampoo absolutely didn't. And I love samurai anime, and I've always detested Shampoo. Shampoo has never resonated with me ever. So, this is just one of those things where it's an individual pick each time. Rising Sun, what's one that you would recommend?
Oh, again, it depends on the person. If it was for someone like me, I would probably recommend Full Metal Alchemist, because I feel like that's a good example of the type of adventure, action, storytelling that anime can offer. And another one that I thought of, because it worked with my brother, was Made in Abyss. Mm-hmm. He had seen a couple of anime before that, but Made in Abyss was one that really hooked him. So I feel like that has a lot of the wonder, the uniqueness of anime, and it's just something really different I think people would appreciate.
Okay. All right. And then Art of Anime. What is an anime series that you would recommend to a newcomer?
So I think I have 3 staple ones, but before I get to them, I want to echo what everybody's saying, that it is based on the person.
Yeah.
Just today, I learned that one of the guys I work with is talking about how, he's watching 7 Deadly Sins. But here he is talking about how he's into politics and philosophy, and I'm like, Netflix got Evangelion, right? And he's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Go watch it."
I just have to be honest. I would never recommend Evangelion to somebody because I'm almost worried that they would come back to me in a comatose state.
see, that's the whole thing with me. I would never really recommend it either. It's a really hard show to recommend with all the different things in it. I'm like, this is like perfect for you, and you haven't seen it.
Besides besides a totally ripped off Xenogears. Just saying. I'm making a reference back to our JRPGs episode back in July. So if you guys want to go check that out and see my argument for why I came across Xenogears first and Evangelion second, and therefore immediately thought that Evangelion was ripping off Xenogears.
But
so you're telling me I should not play Xenogears then?
You should absolutely play Xenogears. In fact, it makes more sense than Ava. Oh, snap. Did I say that out loud?
I mean, my hentai reviews make more sense than Ava.
My staple 3 all happen to be shonen shows. Because I think in general, like, those are...
They're easily digestible.
Easier to digest, yeah.
Yeah.
One of which Rising Sun already brought up, which would be Full Metal Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just has a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Yep. Plus, it actually has it's one of the few anime that actually began the trope of being able to have really powerful cliffhangers to bring you into the next episode. Now that's like a regular staple of anime these days, but Full Metal Alchemist is like the first time I can legitimately remember they did it.
Yeah, like when I was watching Brotherhood, it was impossible for me to watch less than 3 episodes in one sitting.
Well, Brotherhood, I had to watch subbed because I was officially done waiting for the dub.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those few times that I've ever made that sacrifice. Usually that sacrifice gets made for Gundam, and that's it. But Brotherhood, I got sick and tired of waiting.
Yeah, I'm glad I waited long enough after it came out to watch it dubbed.
Yeah, I even watched it when it was dubbed and enjoyed it the same, like it was brand new to me. But yeah, anyway, so continue on, Art.
Okay, so that would be my one.
Okay.
If you're not you know you're not feeling Full Metal Alchemist, try Death Note.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're not feeling the whole, you want something a little longer than both of those, I can safely say at this point how far I've gotten into it, I would say Hunter x Hunter.
All right.
Because each story arc feels like a different genre.
Okay.
You have your Hunter exam, which is basically like flashback to like the Chunin exams in Naruto. You have Greed Island, which is basically SAO but better.
Okay.
You have the Chimera Ant arc, which I'm currently on, which is kind of like survival horror.
Yeah, I've heard that one's really good.
Do they hope it's not Chris's blood?
Chimera Ants. Just think about those two names together.
Do they require a Master of Unlocking? It took you a minute to figure out where I was going with it.
Animals in Hunter x Hunter happen to be made up of 2 different animals, like fox bears.
So it's like Avatar. Right.
There are Chimera Ants.
So that just sounds like early. That sounds like early D&D to me, where there was werebears and wereowls and everything like that.
Take the concept of a chimera.
Yes.
Make them look like an ant.
So you already have a double standard here, because a chimera is already 3 or 4 animals depending on your mythology. So you technically have 4 animals merged with an ant.
Yeah. So the concept of an ant colony applied to chimeras.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah, that's basically what it is, and
that basically made I'm being honest here. The first thing that came to my mind when we're discussing this is Parasite Eve. That's literally what came to my mind.
Oh, I want to play that again.
You're a braver man than I. I don't know how I would react to this day with if I played Parasite Eve again.
That first enemy you find walking down in that down that hallway.
Yeah. I think at one point we're probably gonna have to bow to the fans here, Alex, and play Parasite Eve, just so that you can have your first reactions to it.
Oh,
and
he hasn't played Parasite Eve.
No, there's a lot of series that he's never been exposed to, and Parasite Eve is one of them.
True.
I wish you luck.
Yes. This will be one of those things where I actually am kind of worried if Alex will want to cut midway, because like he's been doing really well in Resident Evil, but then we bring
Parasite Eve is a different monster.
It's a different animal. All right, and then just to kind of before we wrap things up, just going back to our live chat, so we have a couple of other character recommendations. Itachi from Naruto. That's another one that is fairly interesting. I don't have a whole lot of fond love for Itachi, but that's just because his introduction, much like Sasuke in the original series, was kind of crap.
It wasn't until Shippuden that he really became interesting.
I also think MartAnimE, you're smoking crack for recommending Evangelion to a newcomer. That's just begging for a comatose patient right there.
No, you recommend FLCL to a newcomer.
At that point, you'd just be sending somebody to the funny farm.
The general rule is never recommend a Gainax or Trigger show.
Exactly. Because then at that point you have to explain what Gainaxing is to them, and Alex never likes explaining Gainaxing to me.
No, you should recommend Space Patrol Lilico to a new person and see what they think.
But they wouldn't get anything about it because it's a fucking Trigger crossover.
Exactly. And then it goes to the black holes.
So a couple of series that got recommended as a kind of gateway drug. For romance, we have Paradise Kiss, Lucky Star for comedy, Death Note, and maybe Psycho Pass. Death Note, that's been brought up. I don't know any of the others. That's just me, though.
I've heard Psycho Pass.
Psycho Pass I could see. But then if they went on to season 2, they might feel a little...
Safe recommendation. Anything by Studio Ghibli, I am going to disagree, because if you recommend Spirited Away to anybody, you will get questions of, what? Why did they become pigs? Why was the ghost following her? Why is my voice going super high on this one?
Why is it?
Why does he look like Falcor from Neverending Story? So that's a hit or miss prospect right there, Martin. I feel so bad, like I'm knocking my artist's ideas, but especially not Princess Mononoke. No, that's not family friendly. That is not. Well, yeah, she says
it's okay.
Friend of the channel, Forlorn Hope, saw that like as a little elementary schooler, and she loves it.
No, she's Mononoke. It's okay. Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies.
I was in Walmart a while back. I saw Princess Mononoke in their kids movie section.
It's only PG-13. It's like no worse than your typical Marvel movie in terms of violence.
Oh, and it's worse. It's worse.
Oh, it is not.
To be fair, the children probably
that's just me though.
On YouTube.
All right, so what is Draken to show
and get people to watch Watamote. I liked that series for as long as I watched it. It was actually fun to see a totally socially awkward person try to figure out how society works via video game standards.
You mean that's not the way you're supposed to do it?
That is not actually how you're supposed to do that.
Oh, that explains a few things.
Grave of the Fire. So now Marta agrees with us. Grave of the Fireflies. Nope. Nobody. Nope.
Not to a first timer unless they just really want a tearjerker.
And Forlorn Hope, you officially confess. Terrified me on my first watch. Now I love it. I feel for you. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Well, we actually need to wrap things up for the evening. So we go.
Wait, Drac.
Go ahead. Yes.
You want to bounce back to the question we all had to kind of think about?
Trying to remember what that question is. Damn it. We've been going at such a fast pace. It was weird nostalgic.
Yeah.
Oh,
weird nostalgic anime.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I got one. Why not? Okay.
All right.
So
hack.
I'm going to pull out Legend of the Twilight, because incest is wincest is a bad idea.
That is weird, but no, I got something even a bit more nostalgic than that. So, you've you've told me a lot about, the hardcore OVAs of the 90s. Well, I got a hardcore OVA of the 80s when OVAs were even more hardcore and not all video game based. So,
my next question is going to be, have you watched it?
Yes, of course I've watched it.
Okay.
That's why I was saying it's nostalgic. So years ago, I found this little OVA series called Fight Ixer 1. And it's this OVA, sci-fi horror OVA from the 80s, from like 88 or something. I don't know.
Let me guess. You found it in the kids section of your local Blockbuster video.
No. I saw it on demand. But that was, I think, my first real kind of exposure to the hardcore OVA. It's not a hentai, but it's pretty hardcore.
It might as well be a hentai.
It might as well be. I still remember...
Let's just be honest with each other. Any OVAs from the 80s or 90s are borderline hentai.
Pretty much. So I'll put it as I once saw this review, and I can't remember the site for the life of me, but I once saw this review that I think summed it up pretty well. Gratuitous violence, gratuitous nudity, gratuitous frolicking lesbians. Because that is what that OVA is.
Okay. Gratuitous frolicking lesbian.
That's a description that only the creator of MD Geist would love.
Oh,
and by the way, I think if I actually did episode titles for Why We Geek, I think I'd have to now say gratuitous frolicking lesbians.
Is that going to be the next Why We Geek episode?
Why We Geek on Yuri Anime.
Why We Geek on gratuitous frolicking lesbians. That'd be a hard one to make the questions for, but hey, I'll take on the challenge.
I have a few friends who want to be part of that podcast, so
probably. All right. Well,
all your hentai reviewer friends.
Huh?
All your hentai reviewer friends.
Yes, the one who says he wants to make a web
for some reason, guys, when I bring these guys on the podcast, it devolves into hentai. I don't know how it does, but it does.
So what's a Why We Geek on hentai that we haven't actually seen?
Yeah, wasn't that supposed to happen?
I think we're just going to end things on gratuitous frolicking lesbians. That seems to be the best way to be able to do that. So if people want to be able to reach out to us, be able to experience our content, especially for the 12 days of anime, where we all have active content that's going up. Rising Sun Reviews, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm Rising Sun Reviews on YouTube. I am posting 12 Days of Anime, where so far I have not talked about anime yet, but that will change in another couple of days.
All right. Alex the Shadow Blazer, how do people get a hold of you?
I am on YouTube. Shadow Blazer 3000 is my channel, and anime content is my thing, and I am doing the 12 Days of Anime as we speak, and I've got all my videos planned out, and most of them are done. I actually keep flipping around on day 12. That's my problem. So, but yeah, follow me on YouTube, 12 Days of Anime. I'm going, and I got more videos in store as the year comes to an end and the year going forward. And follow me on Twitter at AlexJShort.
All right. And The Art of Anime, how do people get a hold of you?
You already know the spiel, Drac.
I actually know the spiel. Am I doing it again? All right. People can follow him on The Art of Anime YouTube or YT on Twitter. And all you have to do on YouTube is look for The Art of Anime, and you will be able to find him. All you have to do is find that Neko with the piercing gaze, and you are in the right place.
It's the gaze that hypnotizes me into talking about SAO.
And hentai.
I mean, no, that's just me normally when I'm on a podcast.
People think the Kyubey is the truest disaster of anime cats. No. The Neko in front of The Art of Anime is way worse. He looks into your soul and makes you watch Evangelion against your will.
That's why I've seen Evangelion 12 times. Not really.
I'll just upload the clip 12 times of Shinji saying, "I'm so fucked up."
Oh, yes.
Oh
that scene.
And if people want to be able to get a hold of me, you guys are already on my channel, so you guys can look up Drac Let's Plays, but you can also follow me on Twitter at Drac2326. That's the best way to be able to get a hold of me to ask questions and be able to check out some of the other content that I do provide on the channel. Right now, for my 12 Days of Anime, I'm actually doing this for the first time. Like I said earlier, this podcast, I worked things out with BB's World. Thank you for letting us being able to do this podcast in particular within the 12 days of anime, because it was really awesome to be able to showcase a lot of talent as well as be able to show why this is an awesome thing that happens on YouTube every year. So I do this, but I've also decided to take on the task of categorizing my 12 favorite anime characters, not necessarily in an order, but you guys can look forward to that. The first video is already up discussing Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia, probably the most recent character on that list. So you guys can check that out. And if you want to be able to support the podcast directly, you can do so by supporting the RSS feed, which is whywegeek.podomatic.com. You can also look up Why We Geek Podcast on iTunes and Google Play for Android users and be able to get all of the episodes that we actually have up there. And I would actually say for anime viewers that have been watching tonight, there's actually been a lot of really amazing discussions on anime this year that you guys can check into. We've had amazing podcasts done on Magical Girl anime with the Shadow Blazer, Shonen anime with Shei Chiri. I believe she's also doing the 12 Days of Anime. We've also discussed JRPGs and a little bit of anime with The Art of Anime back in July. We've also discussed... Actually, no, that was the last anime episode that we had, but you guys can also check out all the other amazing episodes that we've had all this year, and also check out all of the amazing content that is being provided by all of these 4 individuals via the 12 Days of Anime.
All of these 4, including you?
These 4, including me, yes. I am talking about myself in the third person. Does the Drac have a problem with talking about himself in the third person? Absolutely not. Because that's the way it goes.
I think the Shadow does, though.
He does, in fact. He comes out of the shadows only once every week to do geek news. Something like that. Can people tell I'm tired?
Yeah, I've been
I
going
have
a
2
lot.
kids.
I have no kids, but it's 1 a.m. and I need to go to bed.
Exactly. So that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. So thank you guys so much for dropping in for the live broadcasting of this. The episode will be up on the RSS feed very soon, so you guys will be able to check that out there as well. And for me, for Alex, the Shadow Blazer, for Rising Sun Reviews, and for the Art of Anime YouTube, we wish you all a happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Merry freaking winter to everybody. And we'll be back next year for even more of the content that we provide, as well as the Why We Geek podcast. So until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Yay!
It still says live.
I don't care. I'm live. We're doing it for the full hour.
It's been 2 hours.